Good morning, good morning. Time for convening has arrived. Senate will come to order. All unauthorized personnel, please exit the chamber at this time. Chair recognizes Senator from the 28th. Reading of the journal.
Good morning, Mr. President. I want to wish you a happy National Good Samaritan Day. It's also National K-9 Veterans Day. And on this day in 1954, Braves player Bobby Thompson broke his ankle. Many of you may not know who Bobby Thompson was, but you may know who replaced him was none other than Hammer and Hank Aaron, 1954. Mr. President, we have a long list of pages today. So I am thankful that members of this body have been promoting this great program. Today out of Marietta, we have Emmanuel Harris and Adam Rodriguez. Out of Peachtree City, we have James Carter Trogdon. Out of Stonecrest, we have Zion Holmes. Out of Lithonia, we have Jay Smith. Out of Buford, we have our very own Senator Dixon's daughter, Berkeley Dixon, and her friend, Anna Grace Smitherman. Out of Decula, we have Zaina Padania. Out of Sewanee, we have Isabella Kaplan. Out of Marietta, we have Noah Xavier Schaefer Rodriguez. Out of Chambly, we have Winston Chu. Out of Dunwoody, we have Andrew Liu. Out of Dawsonville, we have Alexander Harrett. Out of Jasper, we have Max Kearns. Out of Cartersville, we have our good friend, Representative Matthew Gamble's son, David Gamble. I guess they couldn't get him in on the house, so he came over here with us. Out of Cartersville, we have Knox Matthews. Out of Carrollton, we have a dear friend of mine, George Chambers. We have his son, Caleb Chambers. Out of Roswell, we have a set of twins, Charlotte and Dorothy Finley, and their brother, Shepard Finley. Out of Stockbridge, we have Keaton Hall and Kavion Hartley. Out of Cumming, we have Claire Kim. Out of Peachtree Corners, we have Marcy King. Out of Ellenwood, we have Gabrielle White. Out of Sparta, we have Peyton Wingard. Or Wingard, I should say. Out of Lawrenceville, we have Sophia Wang. And out of Atlanta, we have brother and sister Jeremiah and Ramiah Henderson. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. We appreciate y'all being here and spending your day with us, helping us get through the great business of this great state. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Pages, for taking the time to spend your day here at the Capitol. We greatly appreciate that. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. We have our first reading and references to Senate bills and resolutions. Secretary?
Senate Bill 577 by Senator Jackson of the 41st and others. A bill to be
State
entitled
and local government.
Senate Bill 578 by Senator Watson of the 11th and others.
Agriculture.
Senate Bill 579 by Senator Summers of the 13th.
State and local government.
Senate Resolution 770 by Senator Harrell of the 40th and others. A resolution creating the Senate Higher Education in Prison
Higher
Study.
education.
Senate Resolution 771 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others. A resolution commending capital.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 774 by Senator Ork of the 36th. A resolution honoring.
Transportation.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
First reading references to House bills.
House Bill 1346 by Representative Barton of the 5th
State
and
and local
others.
government.
House Bill 1445 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd.
State and local government.
House Bill 1449 by Representative Collins of the 71st
State
and
and local
others.
government.
House Bill 1450 by Representative Hawley of the 116th and
State and
others.
local government.
House Bill 1451 by Representative Franklin of the
State and
160th.
local government.
House Bill 1455 by Representative Sains
State
of the
and local
180th.
government.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary Reed reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 53 do pass, House Bill 1223 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 1237 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Goodman of the 8th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Children and Family has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 499 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 814 do pass by substitute and House Bill 1069 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Resolution 1021 do pass and House Bill 1185 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Government Oversight has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1199 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harmon of the 16th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has had an consideration of the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1072 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1170 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 1326 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. Additionally, Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of House Bill 1170, which Health and Human Services passed out on Monday, March 11, 2024. Respectfully yours, Senator Gloria Butler. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1017 do pass, House Bill 1201 do pass by substitute, House Bill 910 do pass by substitute, House Bill 934 do pass, House Bill 992 do pass, and House Bill 1054 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 218 do pass, House Bill 996 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1123 do pass, House Bill 1165 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1251 do pass, House Resolution 598 do pass, and House Bill 1267 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and the Environment has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1146 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. Additionally, dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of House Bill 1146, which Natural Resources passed out on Tuesday, March 12, 2024. Sincerely, Senator Nikki Merritt. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 300 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1344 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1190 do pass, House Bill 349 do pass, and House Bill 441 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Kauser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 461 do pass by substitute, Senate Resolution 687 do pass by substitute. Pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.10b, the Committee on Rules has referred the following legislation from the general calendar, House Bill 498, to the Committee on Public Safety. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 28th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 575 do pass, House Bill 1091 do pass, House Bill 1281 do pass. House Bill 1282 do pass. House Bill 1313 do pass. House Bill 1347 do pass. House Bill 1403 do pass. House Bill 1414 do pass. House Bill 1419 do pass. House Bill 1268 do pass. House Bill 1269 do pass. House Bill 1270 do pass. House Bill 1271 do pass. House Bill 1413 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Gannon of the 47th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations General has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 883 do pass by substitute, House Bill 905 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1149 do pass, House Bill 1241 do pass, House Bill 1330 do pass, House Bill 1337 do pass, House Bill 1407 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Gannon of the 47th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 617 do pass, House Bill 804 do pass, House Bill 912 do pass, House Bill 1235 do pass, House Bill 1318 do pass, House Resolution 1164 do pass, House Resolution 1215 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Resolution 854 do pass by substitute, House Bill 957 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
House Bill 1041 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others. Savannah, Georgia Convention Center Authority, maximum amount of bonded indebtedness of the authority increase. House Bill 1052 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd and others. Revenue and taxation, limitation on leased property as to certain entities remove. House Bill 1090 by Representative Newton of the 127th and others. Income tax, contributions to foster care support organizations, expand tax credit. House Bill 1192 by Representative Carson of the 46th and others. Sales and use tax, certain high technology data center equipment, prohibit issuance of new certificates of exemption. House Bill 1339 by Representative Parrish of the 158th and others. Health certificate of need revised. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. In light of tomorrow's activities over in the House honoring former Speaker David Ralston, we have a resolution that we'd like to bring to the floor tomorrow as well. Therefore, I ask for unanimous consent that the Senate Rule 4.2.9 paragraph C be suspended to allow for SR 687 to be read for the second time, please.
Secretary, read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 687, a resolution by Senator Goots of the 51st and others. A resolution urging the University of North Georgia and the University System of Georgia Board of Regents to name a certain building after former Speaker David Ralston and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? There is objection. All right. it's not a debatable objection, so all those in favor of the motion, rise, stand, and be counted. Do it. Reverse. On the motion, the yeas are 25 and the nays are 0, Senator, unless you objected and decided not to vote. Okay. So, all right, motion carries. Secretary, read the resolution for the second time.
Senate Resolution 687, a resolution by Senator Goots of the 51st, a resolution urging the University of North Georgia and the University System of Georgia Board of Regents to name a certain building after former Speaker David Ralston and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, moving on to the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Recognize Senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business inside the Capitol: 5, 38, 22, and 42.
5, 38, 22, and 42.
28. I'm sorry, 38. 38.
Without objection, senators from the 5th, 38th, 22nd, and 42nd are excused. Recognize Senator from the 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 6th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 6th is excused. Recognize Senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our excuse senator didn't quite get all of them done, but I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 49th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 49th is excused. Recognize Senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senators from the 8th and the 28th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, senators from the 8th and the 28th are excused. Recognize Senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 8th.
Without objection, the senator from the 8th is excused. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll. Senator, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 2nd, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 26th.
Without objection, the senator from the 26th is excused. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I now recognize the senator from the 16th to introduce our pastor of the day and lead us in our pledge. Senator?
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's American flag first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. We are pleased to have this morning with us Dr. George Dillard, who is no stranger to this chamber. We looked at his bio, and it was at least 11 years old, so we had to update on the years of marriage and grandchildren to him. I understood from a House member that he tried to take up collection over on that side, but he was not successful on that side, but that's okay. He is the pastor of Peachtree City Christian Church and has been there since 1993. That date didn't change on us. Great. He got his degree, his bachelor's degree from Atlanta Christian College, which is now Point University, and received his master's in ministry and doctorate of philosophy and theology from the Evangelical Theological Seminary. Got to say cemetery, shouldn't say that though. George is married for 36 years, has a great wife and children, and has 7 grandkids. He has a favorite saying he likes to say, which is "Go Dogs." And he also is an expert golf cart driver. If you don't know this, Peachtree City is the #1 capital place to have a golf cart. So there are golf carts everywhere. And he is an excellent driver. I see him with his grandchildren. And he's also, he and I have another favorite place we meet, and that's called Chick-fil-A. And so we do that. So with that, if you would come speak to us and encourage us, we'd love to have you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning. As I thought about being here today and preparing for this this moment, I wanted to share with you something out of John chapter 21. There's a moment there, since we're close to Easter. It's after the resurrection, and Jesus having a conversation with Peter. What happens is that Peter has decided to go back and fish. And that's not what Jesus called him to do. But he goes back and fishes, and Jesus comes and is there on the shore, and they see him, and Peter jumps in the water, swims back to shore, and Peter and Jesus have this conversation. And that's what most people focus on, is the conversation. Do you love me more than these? Tend my lambs. Do you love me more than these? But this morning, I'd like for us to focus on another part of the conversation. See, I think it shows a little bit more of our human nature. Jesus has these questions for Peter, and Peter's getting a little bit frustrated because what Jesus is literally saying to him is, Peter, I didn't call you to fish. I called you to be a fisher of men. And so you're not doing what I asked you to do. And Peter gets frustrated, and if you look in John chapter 21, Peter says, well, what about this guy? What about him? Now, I've heard a lot of people explain what Peter was asking, what Peter was saying, what was going on there. But let me tell you something. Go back and read the whole chapter. Go back and read the entirety of the events. And what Peter's doing is what we often do. When we're called on the carpet for not doing what we're called to do, we say, well, what about him? See, Peter's literally saying, I jumped in the water and swam for you. He stayed in the boat. And Jesus looks at Peter and says, we're not talking about him. We're talking about you. The most important thing for the people of this body, the men and women who have been called to serve the state of Georgia, the first order of business is, what am I doing? What is my role? What is my responsibility? It's not what the people around you are doing. It's not what the people across the aisle are doing. It's not what the people out in the hall are asking you to do. It's what were you called by your constituents to do. We're not talking about everybody else. We're talking about you. But you know what? Just like Peter, we all have a tendency to want to say, well, here's what I'm doing, but what about them? Just remember, Jesus says, we're not having a conversation about what everybody else is doing. We're having a conversation about what you're doing. And let your yes be yes and your no be no. Would you join me in a word of prayer? Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for loving us and giving us the opportunity to serve. Father, we know that your heart is a heart of generosity and of love, and so help us, Father, to be filled with that. Bless the men and women of this body with that mindset. Father, bless those who help them and assist them. And Father, bless the constituents, the people of the state of Georgia, that we might always do what is right, what is best for each other, that we might love one another just as you've loved us. And we give thanks for this day, for it is the day that you've made, and we rejoice and are glad in it. And we offer these prayers in Jesus' name. Amen.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to have our physicians, our doctors of the day here, and we have a young lady that's got a very impressive resume, and I'll call on the Georgia Grown as well, working at Emory now, and I'll call on the senator from the 28th to introduce our doctor of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our doctor of the day today, Dr. Jane Mizell. She's an Atlanta native, an associate professor in the Department of Hematology and Medical Oncology at Emory University in Medicine, where she treats patients with breast and gynecologic cancers. Her goal is to provide compassionate, exceptional, state-of-the-art care to patients fighting these diseases and to conduct research and improves treatment options for those patients. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College in 2004 with a degree in history of science and earned her medical degree in 2008 from Harvard Medical School. Very impressive young lady. She's got two very active little boys, Jack and Josh. They are 11 and 8 years old, and I bring up Dr. Jane Mizell.
Thank you. To lower this microphone a little bit. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here today. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope no one needs me, but if you do, I got you. I grew up in Atlanta and first fell in love with medicine as a high school student in the late 90s, actually volunteering in the emergency department at Grady Hospital. Medicine to me felt like a way to combine a love of science with a love of humanity. And I left Georgia for college and medical school, but always knew I wanted to come back. And 10 years ago, when I finished my oncology training, I took my first real job here at Emory. My work is focused on breast and ovarian cancer, which are diseases that are all too common in our communities. And in my job, I see and treat patients, train lots of our young physicians, and do research to help us find ways to fight cancer more effectively. Like you all, I know what it is to have your work be your passion and to come in every day prepared to serve your people. As a doctor in the state of Georgia, I could not do my work as effectively without your efforts, and I want to tell you that the work you do here every day affects the lives of the patients I see on a regular basis. In the past few years, you all have passed legislation making diagnostic breast imaging easier to obtain, so we can find cancer earlier and save more lives. And then at the other end of the cancer spectrum, just last year, you passed a bill mandating better insurance coverage of biomarker testing, so our patients with advanced cancer can have access to the latest and greatest targeted treatments. I'm used to giving longer lectures in my line of work, but I'm going to keep this short because I know you all have a lot to do today. So have a great day, and thank you again for all the work you do on behalf of our state.
We have some special guests here today. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 716 by Senator Harbin of the 16th and others. A resolution recognizing the Civil Air Patrol for their service to the citizens of Georgia and for other purposes. Whereas Georgia Wing members, as an intricate component of our natural defense, volunteer their services, time, and resources to actively support Civil Air Patrol by conducting missions in homeland security, disaster relief, and emergency services. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize the selfless contributions that the volunteers of the Civil Air Patrol have made to the state of Georgia. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 16th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're here today to honor the Civil Air Patrol. They were founded in 1941 as a volunteer organization assisting in performing coastal patrols, protecting American airspace during war times. Interesting, we don't think about that today. They were designated by Congress as an auxiliary of the United States Air Force. And in conversation I just had with some of them just now, you can actually get your pilot's license by being a member and going through their course without I won't say without charge, but with work. The Georgia Wing of the Civil Air Patrol consists of 2,000 members in 37 squadrons throughout the state. Georgia Wing of the Civil Air Patrol received national recognition in 2021 for their efforts in supporting Georgia communities during the COVID crisis. The Civil Air Patrol are a flying Minutemen and provide vital emergency services by conducting missions, supporting disaster relief efforts, and search and rescue. Aerospace education and cadet program is vital. During the Hurricane Idai in 2023, the Civil Air Patrol provided FEMA and GEMA with thousands of aerial images and spotting patrols leading to the rescue of stranded Georgians. The Civil Air Patrol are recognized as a vital part of our national defense and volunteer their time, their skills, and their resources to serve our state and our nation. And with that, I'm going to ask Commander Willis if he would say just a short speech.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, senators. I want to thank you for the recognition of the Civil Air Patrol, and I want to highlight that we are conducting missions today, but the 4 people behind me represent the missions of tomorrow. Our youth organization allows people from any background to fulfill their dreams and to realize their potentials. So we are volunteers serving our communities, saving lives, and shaping the very futures that you see behind us. Thank you for the recognition, and I look forward to our continued support of Georgia and the communities. Thank you.
We have some very special guests here. All our guests are special, but we do like our young people to come here, and got a state champion football team here today from Pierce County, the Pierce County Bears. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 469 by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others. A resolution congratulating the Pierce County High School Bears football team on their 2023 State AA Football Championship and for other purposes. Whereas the State County High School Bears football team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence with equal emphasis on character and academics. And as a fitting finale to its extraordinary 2023 campaign, The team won in a 3-overtime thriller to Pierce County with a final score of 48-43 to become the state AA football champions. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Senate that the members of this body congratulate the Pierce County High School Bears football team on their 2023 state AA football championship and extend best wishes for their continued success. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. This is my kind of team. The coach brought his 3 star players, and they're all defensive players, all 3 linebackers right here. So I like that. There's still teams that win on defense, I guess. There's still high school teams that do that. So we are glad to have Pierce County here, and I recognize the good senator from the 8th to speak to the resolution.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor to be here today to present my friends from Pierce County. They've won 2 out of the last 4 years. They've won the state championship. I remember the night that they won the state championship. A good friend of mine, a good friend of many in this chamber, Supreme Court Justice Mike Boggs, was having an event, and I felt so sorry for the justice because. Pretty much all of Blackshear was in Atlanta. I think there was about 15 people there. But that community really supports this team. Coach Herron, thank you for everything you do in the lives of our young folks, and Coach Morris. And it's just an honor to get to represent you. Also, I will say we've got one of our linebackers here is going to play football at Sanford, and he said he runs a 4.5 40. I told him that when I was in high school, I ran a 6 flat. So he said he didn't think I'd probably be on the team. But Coach Herron, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Just want to thank y'all for having us up here and doing this. Pierce County is a great place. Georgia's a great state, but Pierce County may be the best county in the state of Georgia as far as great people, hardworking people. We got kids with a mind to work, that want to work and enjoy working together, and that's the key in life. So just proud to be here. Just want to give God all the glory and say thank y'all for having us.
All right, good job, Coach. Good job. All right, we have another good group from South Georgia, the state champions here, a cheerleading squad from Vidalia High School, 3-time state champions right now. That's pretty good, isn't it, Senator? Yeah, 3-time state champions. So, Secretary, read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 582 by Senator Tillery of the 19th and others. A resolution congratulating the Vidalia High School Game Day cheerleading team for winning the GHSA Division AA State Championship and for other purposes. Whereas the Vidalia High School game day cheerleading team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence in precision, synchronization of skills executed, and teamwork with equal emphasis on character and academics. And this team concluded its triumphant season of cheerleading by taking its third consecutive GHSA Division AA Game Day State Championship. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body congratulate the Vidalia High School Game Day cheerleading team for winning the GHSA Division AA State Championship and extend best wishes for continued success. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Call the senator from Vidalia, senator from the 19th, speaks to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to introduce to you all the 2023 and 2022 and 2021, am I right on that? State champions, maybe I got those years wrong, 22, 23, 24, state champions in cheerleading for AA from Vidalia, Georgia, behind me here. There's some in the balcony. If you guys want to wave or stand up for a second, we'd like to honor you. Yes. But the four behind me here were chosen specifically because they were on all three state championship teams. And let me go ahead and let you know that they are looking to defend 3 of the 4 juniors, so they'll be back to compete for a 4th ring as well. The champion of this program in our area is Coach Ann Michelle Toole, who was at Vidalia High School when I was there. She's been told she can tell no stories, but she is definitely invited to come up to the rostrum and speak for her team.
Good morning, and thank you for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and be recognized for our accomplishments. As you heard in the resolution, Vidalia has competed in game day for 3 consecutive years and earned 3 state titles. We in our school share a lot of athletes across teams, and we think that that is what attributes our kids to being well-rounded and competitive, much like Senator Tillery. Again, thank you for having us, and we do give all the glory to God, and we will contest that Pierce County is the best county in Georgia. We'll contest that anytime. Again, thank you for having us.
All right, good job, good job. Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? My favorite senator from the 12th. The floor is yours. The floor is yours, Senator, anytime you want it.
Good morning, colleagues. I would like to welcome to the Capitol the Dougherty County Comprehensive High School, the principal, Jerry Sanders, chaperones, Lavetta Dudley, Dr. Jessica Thomas, Shamika Crittenden, and this is sponsored by Ms. Sherelle Bird of Sowega Rising. Would you all stand, please, so we can, Georgia ACT and 9 to 5 Georgia. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Senator. Thank you. Dougherty County's lucky to have the good lady from the 12th representing them. I recognize the senator from 36 for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues. We have on our calendar of privilege resolutions today Senate Resolution 768. I want to flag for you that today is Annual Housing Day at the Capitol, sponsored by Georgia Advancing Communities Together, known as Georgia ACT. Georgia ACT's a statewide member organization working to advance the development of affordable housing and strengthen community development, especially in areas in need of revitalization. Georgia ACT brings together Georgians from all over the state every year to remind us that housing is the foundation that we all need in order for all Georgians to succeed and thrive. We're in the midst of a housing crisis in this state. We have a shortage of housing at every level after a decade of failing to build housing that keeps up. But that crisis has the harshest impacts on those who are the most vulnerable: babies and children, seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, working families in low-wage jobs, and people in rural communities across our great state. Georgia needs to invest more in the creation and preservation of affordable housing. We need to strengthen our tenant protection laws to bring us in line with our neighboring states, and we need to invest to prevent and end homelessness at a time when homelessness is rising statewide after decades of decline, rising particularly among seniors and children. And so as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Georgia ACT and all their great work, it's my pleasure to recognize folks here in the gallery today for Housing Day. If you'll please stand, wave your hands. Let's applaud and recognize them. Thank you so much. I know there are over 100 housing advocates in the building today. So as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Georgia ACT today, let us take the charge. Speak with the folks on the ropes as they advocate with us this morning on key housing and homelessness priorities. Thank you very much, and thank you all so much for your advocacy and your work to bring more and better housing across this great state. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I recognize the senator from the 9th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise this morning to recognize the Gwinnett Youth Commission. The Gwinnett Youth Commission is a year-long Gwinnett County government outreach program, and it's designed to educate and engage high school students in local government and civic affairs, and develop the next generation of leaders. County officials and employees facilitate leadership workshops, field trips, and activities to promote personal and professional development and civic engagement, and commitment to public service. The youth commissioners serve as representatives to and for Gwinnett Board of Commissioners, departments, directors, and community leaders. In addition to serving in leadership positions and building relationships for local government leaders, youth commissioners have many opportunities to earn volunteer hours and qualify for service awards as they invest in themselves and their community. There are currently 32 students who are part of the 2023-2024 cohort who come from the following Gwinnett County private and home high schools: Peachtree Ridge, Duluth, Paul Drake, Central Gwinnett, Gwinnett School of Math and Science and Technology, Collins Hill, Discovery, South Gwinnett, Killian Hill Christian, Grayson, go Grayson, go Rams, Decula, Brookwood High School, Shiloh, North Gwinnett, Mountain View, Mill Creek, Lanier, and Gwinnett Online Campus. So if you all would welcome our Gwinnett Youth Commission here today. I think they are up in the gallery, maybe? I don't know. Oh, I don't know if they made it over. But anyway, we'll welcome them anyway. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield well.
Thank you, Senator. Oh, got the clown show from the House over here, so that's typical, though. That's typical. Recognize the Senator from the 16th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your desk, you should have a Chick-fil-A chocolate chip cookie. And those are on your desk for a reason. Tomorrow is Truett Cathy's birthday, the founder of Chick-fil-A. And I wanted to recognize him. I have a resolution. My grandson was here with Team Pack, and they were creating bills, and he wanted to create Truett Cathy's birthday as a state holiday. And I told him, I said, I don't think I can pull that off to my grandson. So Ben McMichael put that together, but this is to recognize Truett Cathy as the inventor of Chick-fil-A. Over 3,000 units around the country, all around. What a great place to go for young people and what they do, not counting the orphanages and the scholarships that are done. And we have a resolution we're going to release today just recognizing him. But tomorrow is his official birthday, and he's done a great deal for Georgia, for the people of Georgia. And many people don't know this, but they had over 11 orphanages or foster homes that they supported as well. And he has really done a phenomenal thing in the creation of Chick-fil-A and the culture that they bring to our state. And I just want to recognize him. And anybody who doesn't want their cookie, I have other people who would like to have it. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 49th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I think this is probably perfect timing. Last week I came to the well to talk about Lakeview Academy's ladies and men's basketball teams for winning the state championship. And today they're on the Capitol grounds. So if you are here from Lakeview Academy up in the gallery, stand up and let us applaud you for your triumphant season. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
I just want to take a minute and recognize a longtime House member former speaker, but the father to the senator from the 20th, but a legend in his own right. The man from Perry, Georgia, Mr. Larry Walker, is here with us today. Come on up here.
It's been a while since I've been to the Capitol. What a beautiful place it is. A lot of improvements been made. And I'm glad to be here, and I've seen so many old friends, and I just thought I'd come up here and see a fellow that's been trying to imitate me or do something. Larry Walker, he calls himself. Where is he? There he is back there. Well, this is the real Larry Walker right here. No, I'm really proud of him. He's a fine son. I think he's doing a fine job for our district. One thing about it, I think he likes Republicans and Democrats. And we need to go back to that. We need to go back to, you don't have to vote with them to like them or talk to them or be kind to them. I'm just overwhelmed with being here and the people coming up, and I appreciate it very much. God bless all of you and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Recognize the senator from the 29th for a point of personal privilege.
Colleagues, there's many times we come to this well for when we don't feel right about something, and sometimes when we feel really good about something. And I'm glad to be here today to tell you what I feel really good about, and that is Zoe Catherine Christine Robertson, my granddaughter, who was born yesterday afternoon as I was presenting a bill over in House Judy. She's 19.7 inches long. She's 8.9 pounds. And after spending about 16 hours in the NICU down in Florida, she's doing well, and I'll be seeing her soon. So please help me welcome my new granddaughter to the world. Thank you.
Congratulations, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 39th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. So you know that it is March, which means that it's still Women's History Month, and we are delighted to be joined today by Layla Brock, who is the Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Community Development for the Atlanta Dream. She's got more than a 20-year career in sports, and she has just recently made it to Atlanta from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. And so she is down here today with us because we are waging a little friendly competition. Because what is sports about if it is not about showing up and going hard in the paint? And
right.
So,
Ms. President, we're going to need you to hit your gavel for a second. Get everyone's attention.
oh, I recognize the senator from the 42nd.
So, as my colleague, the senator from the 39th, was saying, it is March Madness, and there is a fierce competition being waged that the Senate is losing. And there are 180 of them and only 56 of us. So we need all of our colleagues to circle the wagons on the final four in the best dressed, because the House is turning it up and turning it out. And we need all 54 other of you to have our backs to drown out the 180, which we know that all of you can do because we represent 3 times as many people as they do in the House. So today, we are going to have our response to their photo with the Speaker of the House, trying to turn out votes for our competition. And we are going to have our photo with the actual basketball stars of Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream. So please vote for us, your colleagues, in the best dressed Final Four.
All right, all right. I have no doubt y'all going to be right there in the mix. I have no doubt. But if the Senate wants to help, our good friend Maya back there with the AJC really controls that whole thing. So all y'all got to do is go lobby her real hard, and I bet she can make it happen for you right there. So she can tilt it in your favor. Recognize the senator from the 14th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is Winter Wednesday at the Capitol, where we look back on the events of Election Day Tuesday, and we congratulate those who've come out ahead. Now, there's been a lot of coverage about the very obvious results of 2 major presidential primaries, but I want to zero in on an especially significant achievement from the community of Buckhead, which I represent. That Republican primary, I'm still going forward with my momentum from the elephant energy. Want to congratulate the winner of the Republican primary only in the community of Buckhead, who won with 49.35%, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Very good achievement by her. And I want to stress that this is an especially impressive achievement because she has already suspended her campaign before the vote was tallied. Winter Wednesday, brought to you by the Senator from the 14th. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Nothing like participation trophies for you to recognize them, Senator. All right. Recognize the senator from the 34th for appointed personal privilege. We're going to let the 34th go back into the dugout here. Recognize the senator from the 47th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to point out on your desk that the senator from the 50th has graciously supplied everybody with a dose of Narcan. I want to also let you know that the senator from the 50th and I share Jackson County. And one of the things that I've got 2 great constituents, Jonathan and Jennifer Langston, that y'all probably have met around the Capitol, that are working so hard on recovery and what's going on with the addiction and how we can deal with this. So if you would, and you don't need this dose of Narcan or you don't have a use for it, would you please either return it to the senator from the 50th or from me so that we can give it to our colleagues and our folks that are serving in that area, that will make sure they get put into an assembly that can be used for drug overdose. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the work from the senator from the 50th.
Recognize the senator from the 34th.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I rise to have 2 points of personal privilege. And one is when I got my training in the House, it was the Larry Walker, not the one that's in the chamber with us today, but his dad, who trained me before I came over here, well trained from the House to the Senate chambers to serve. And I thoroughly appreciate the Walkers for all they have done for me. In addition, Truett Cathy, we talked about him and we got the chocolate chip cookies here. Fun fact, when I was elected to the Clayton County Board of Education, I had the opportunity to serve with Cindy Cathy, who is married to the Cathy family, and I got a personal invitation to the Cathy's headquarters to bring the grandkids and take the tour, and became a part of the Cathy family by the Truett Cathy. I was so proud of that opportunity because, as most kids are, they all like Chick-fil-A. So for the grands to get a chance to get that tour and be a part of the Christmas festivities and others, we were so honored to be a part of all of that. So I just took my time of personal privilege just to let you all know I've done a few things, met a few people, and seen a lot of things. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 48th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Up in the gallery with us today are some folks wearing some PFD's life jackets. Could y'all stand up so we could see y'all? All right, those PFD stands for Personal Flotation Device. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why they're wearing those and who they are. Georgia is home to some 70,000 miles of streams and rivers, 425,000 acres of reservoirs along the state's 5 coastal estuaries, fringed by some 400,000 acres of coastal marsh. We've got a lot of water in this state and a lot of places to play in the water. The state's outdoor recreation economy generates some $27 billion in consumer spending annually. Today we have the following organizations who canoe, kayak, paddleboard, boat, everything from the wild and scenic Chattooga River in North Georgia to the beautiful black waters of the Okefenokee Swamp. Georgia River Network is the Department of Natural Resources non-governmental partner promoting the state's Water Trail program, a system of more than 36 boating paths around the state. Georgia Canoeing Association is a statewide organization that promotes recreational paddling, river courtesy, skill development, and river safety, and works to keep Georgia's rivers clean, flowing, and open to the paddling public. American Whitewater is a national organization with many Georgia members, including me, focused on protecting and restoring our nation's whitewater rivers and enhancing opportunities to enjoy them safely. And the American Canoe Association is a national organization with strong Georgia membership, which serves as the national governing body for Olympic paddle sports and serves the broader paddling public by providing paddle sports, education programs, supporting stewardship initiatives that affect paddlers and the rivers they enjoy, and offering competition opportunities to paddlers of all abilities. Y'all, thank you for being here, and let's please welcome them to the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 18th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Occasionally we get to introduce some good friends from home to you, our colleagues, and it is my honor to introduce Judge Bryant Culpepper, who is over to the right. He is up here. He brought Larry's father, as he said, the real Larry Walker, up to visit with us today, and Mr. Walker, so great to have you in the chamber. On behalf of this entire chamber, it is our honor to have you with us. So let me also echo the President's comments. But Judge Culpepper has had an extremely distinguished career in public service, was elected to the House of Representatives in, I think, 1975 and served until about 1973. and served until 82. Is that right, Judge? Served for several years in the House, and then decided he would take his public service on the bench. And then he ran for election coming right out of the legislature, and was a Superior Court judge down back home for many, many years, and then retired, took senior status, and was actually associated as of counsel with my law firm for a while, and then decided he would go back into judging. So he's now back serving as a senior judge as well. Also a retired colonel in the Georgia National Guard. So just so many layers of public service of things he's done, not only for our community back home, but also for the state of Georgia. And so, Judge, it's an honor to have you with us. Y'all give Judge Culpepper a nice welcome. Thank you. I yield the well.
Yes, sir. Good to have you, Judge. And thank you, Senator, for recognizing the good judge there. So, recognize senators from the 7th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to talk about Perinatal Provider Appreciation Day. All of the senators in this room have this flyer where we're asking folks to join us from 12:30 to 3 p.m. to join the perinatal community health workers in recognizing and celebrating Georgia's trailblazing healthcare providers with years of excellence in maternal child health outcomes. So we are giving honor to the list of providers on here, including the Community Midwives National Alliance, Bellies to Babies, Safe Motherhood Quilt Project, Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere, and Certified Community Midwives. As we know, Georgia is at the bottom of maternal health and infant mortality health outcomes, so it's important that the Georgia State Legislature passed legislation to ensure comprehensive perinatal health care, and that includes expanding Medicaid. Thank you so much, and again, please join us this afternoon in CAP 124. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Recognize the senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. To my colleagues in the Senate, I too rise to talk about how I was trained in the House by the real Larry Walker. Larry Walker Sr., Representative Larry Walker, was presiding over the House when I presented my very first bill. And they do the same thing in the House to first bills that they do here in the Senate. My first bill was about making sure that every newborn baby had a hearing test before they left the hospital. Now, part of the hazing in the House is that everybody, you know, they have that big board in the House where people can see how you're voting, right? And they all vote no if it's your first bill. So you get all these red ends. And then at the very last minute, they change their vote to yes. So Representative Larry Walker was presiding over the House as I presented my first bill, and it was Representative Lynn Smith, raised her hand during the vote and said, "Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker." And when you asked her what her parliamentary inquiry is, it said that she hadn't voted yet, and you asked how she wanted to vote. I think she missed the vote. And you asked how she wanted to vote, and she said, "Well, at first I was going to vote no, but upon serious reconsideration, I would switch my vote to yes." And that whole experience is preserved on a videotape that will always be a part of my experience here in the Georgia Capitol. We miss you. We miss you. Also, I might have some students from Chamblee High School up in the balcony. If you were there, wave. Okay, they've probably gone on. They're going to find me at the ropes, but I have some ninth graders from Chamblee High School today from their world geography class, and if you see them here, then give them a big welcome to the Capitol. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
There's one more, Senator. You still want to go last? All right. You want to go now? All right. Recognize the senator from the 28th.
Yeah, actually. Be careful. Thank you, Mr. President. You actually handled that trophy a little bit better than I did. It's like you won that or something. Mr. President, colleagues, it gives me great honor to come down here to recognize today is Golf Day at our Georgia State Capitol. And with me, I brought the state amateur trophy that was first won in 1916 by Bobby Jones at the age of 14. 14 years old, he won that in 1916. And Bobby Jones went on to have a magnificent career, winning U.S. AMs and British AMs and British Opens, the Open, and many other golf tournaments, many other majors. And the history of golf in this state is long and distinguished and great. And as we all know, the first week in April will be none other than the Masters in our very own Augusta, Georgia. I got some very special guests with me down here today. From the Georgia State Golf Association, I have Matt Vanderpool. I have with Georgia PGA, Scott Geary. With the Georgia Club Managers Association, we have Allegra Johnson. With the Georgia Golf Course Superintendents Association, we have both Tim Busick and Scott Griffith. So y'all give them a big round of applause. We appreciate all they do for our state. Golf actually has a $5.3 billion total economic impact, supporting 55,000 jobs, 259 million state and local taxes, and $2.7 billion in labor income for our state of Georgia. So thank you for all our superintendents, all our assistant pros, head pros, and everybody that just works in the golf industry from top to bottom. We appreciate all you do for this great state. Thank you.
All right, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I rise to recognize one of the fairest jurists that I know in Chatham County, and that is none other than Superior Court Judge John E.R. Poncho Morris, who's president of the Council of Superior Court Judges. He's sitting in the gallery, and he's got his head down, and when I sit in his courtroom, I put my head down because I'm trying not to get picked for jury duty. But recognize Judge Morris for me, a great Superior Court Judge from Chatham County who made the drive up I-16. We appreciate you, Judge. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? All right, we're moving on to the rules calendar. You have before you a consent calendar of privilege resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution on the consent calendar is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Mr. Secretary, is there any motions to remove a bill?
There are no objections filed, Mr. President.
Is there objection to agreeing to the Board of Committee which is on state and local governmental operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on local consent calendar? Chair hears none. The Board of Committee is agreed to. Question is on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. It is now time to consider the confirmation of the governor's appointments. I recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that the reading of the names of the governor's appointments to various boards, authorities, and commissions be dispensed with as they have been printed and placed on the desk.
Thank you, Senator. Is there objection to the governor's appointments? The reading of the governor's appointments. Apologize. Hearing none. Recognize the Senator for 51st again.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent that one roll call suffice to confirm all appointments unless any senator designates that an appointee be removed from the list and voted on individually.
Is there objection to that motion? Hearing none. Is there objection to confirming the appointments with one roll call vote? Have an objection on that. Would you like to remove one, Senator?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry, Senator.
Isn't it true that if the senator from the 53rd would like, we could vote on each one individually? We would be here till about 8:30 tonight. We could start.
That's
the
what I was
calendar.
thinking, Senator. But I tell you what, since he objected to it, I'm going to let the body decide this.
All right.
So, all those in favor of voting on the governor's appointees one by one. No, excuse me. Voting them together will vote yay. All those in favor of voting all the appointees on one roll call vote will vote yay. All opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. State Senator from the 51st. State your inquiry.
Isn't it true we want to vote green in order to move on with the business of the day? A lot of committees are meeting this afternoon, including Green Door for the budget.
Senator knows what he speaks.
Thank you.
Senator from the 53rd, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State
President.
your inquiry.
Is it not true I have no problem voting with one vote for all the appointments? I just want to make sure my objection is heard. That's why I want to vote no in the next vote.
We understand your red button gets used more than anybody else's, Senator. And we like you for that. On the motion, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. Senator from the 51st now, ready for your motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent. Do we excuse the senator from the 29th for business inside the Capitol?
Without objection, the senator from the 29th is excused.
And then if I may, I'll make another
Go ahead,
motion.
Senator.
I move that the governor's appointments to the various boards, commissions, and authorities be confirmed at this time as submitted.
Would you like to speak to it, Senator?
No, sir.
All right, Senator Ways. Any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. All those in favor of the governor's appointees will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the confirmation of the governor's appointments, the yeas are 50, the nays are 2, and the governor appointments are therefore confirmed. Moving on to the rules calendar. Secretary will read caption of HB 481.
You're going to read, then he'll write.
House Bill 481, a bill by Representative Carson of the 46th and others. A resolution to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 20 of Title 47 of the FCGA relating to the Public Retirement Systems Investment Authority Law, so to provide for a fiduciary duty to invest retirement assets solely in the financial interest of participants and their beneficiaries, to provide for duties, to provide for delegation of duties, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Williams of the 25th District Chairman. An auditor's certification is attached. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 16, excuse me. Recognize the senator from the 16.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it. This is HB 481. It simply codifies the fiduciary duties as adopted by the ERS and by the TRS in October of 2022. The rules simply state that the fiduciary must manage the system and the funds in the best financial interest of its beneficiaries. This bill is the same bill that passed this chamber, which was SB 266, that was passed by this body 54-0 last session, and the House sent us back HB 481, which is identical to what we sent to them back over. And we passed it 54-0 when it came before.
No, you have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objections to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Secretary read House Bill 982.
House Bill 982, a bill by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 14 of Title 34 of the OCGA relating to the State Workforce Development Board, so as to require the State Workforce Development Board to develop, approve, and annually publish a high-demand career list, identifying those careers most critical to the state's current and future workforce needs and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Higher Education recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hickman of the 4th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 50th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to bring you House Bill 982. This is a governor's bill, and I first want to thank the Rules Chairman from the 28th for his work on the Joint Study Committee on Dual Enrollment for highly skilled talent at younger ages, whose findings recommended this legislation. This legislation will empower the State Workforce Development Board to use current labor data and identify a list of high-demand careers along with the skills and certifications needed for employment in those areas. This is an existing board with representation from the Senate and the House who will have the flexibility to include regional careers, determine the appropriate identification metrics, and invite input from stakeholders. Currently, several lists exist across state government, and this bill seeks to eliminate confusion shared by industry, educators, and government alike. Senate Bills 440 and 497 from the Senator from the 28th and the Senator from the 4th also resulted from this study committee and would work together with this legislation to strengthen our high-demand career pipeline. This is a good bill to help the future workforce in this state, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
You do have one question, Senator. Senator from the 4th.
Senator, do you yield?
I do.
Yes, sir. Senator, doesn't this also not only give us one list of needs, but it also does it by regions too? So if Southwest Georgia has a need that's different from North Georgia, it also breaks those out instead of saying this is just a need for all of Georgia?
Yes, it does.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
You have no more questions,
Thank
Senator.
you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Secretary read House Bill 985.
House Bill 985, a bill by Representative Martin of the 49th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to scholarships, loans, and grants, so as to abolish the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, to provide for the transfer of outstanding obligations and liabilities and assets of such corporation and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Higher Education recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Hickman of the 4th District Chairman. Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others offer the following amendment to amend House Bill 985 by striking lines 1 through 4 and inserting in lieu thereof the following. To amend Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to post-secondary education so as to bring up to date various higher education-related entities, to abolish the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize Senator from the 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I think it's still morning. I bring you House Bill 985. This is at the request of the Georgia Student Finance Commission, and it essentially dissolves the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation. As you may know, the Georgia Student Finance Commission administers multiple entities: the Commission itself, the Georgia Student Finance Authority, the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, and the REACH Georgia Foundation. This corporation, the one that we're addressing today, the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, the corporation was created in statute to support servicing of federal student loan programs that have now been terminated, eliminating the need for the existence of the corporation. The primary function of the corporation was to serve as a federally designated grantor for loans originated under the Federal Family Education Loan Program. In 2010, Congress enacted the Health Care and Education Reconciliation Act, which eliminated the FFEL, and that at such time those borrowers received direct lending. On April the 1st of 2013, the corporation sold its federal loan guaranteed portfolio to the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Corporation, and while we no longer have any business requirements for continued operations, the corporation must still be managed and accounted and have oversights which are expensive to the corporation. The Board of Directors of the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation adopted a resolution recommending that this be statutorily dissolved. So, I ask for your consideration to appropriately dissolve the Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation. It will result in roughly $28 million of reserves being returned to the Georgia Student Finance Commission for redeployment. And with that, Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions. Would you like me to speak to the amendment?
Sure.
There is a friendly amendment. I appreciate the Pro Tem and his efforts in this area. This amendment allows us to correct an issue in current law that deals with private colleges and universities authority. Essentially, it repeals a section, Part 7 of OCG, can't see it, Georgia Law 219, page 919. It was an issue where we had to correct a problem because of a civil action. This is a friendly amendment, and I ask that you favorably support the amendment and the underlying bill. If there are no further questions, I'm happy to yield the well.
You have no further questions, Senator. Senator from the 18th, would you like to come explain your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. I sure would. So, good morning again, colleagues. Let me tell you why this amendment is being offered this morning. So, in 2019, the General Assembly repealed a state authority called Private Colleges and Universities Authority. The repeal that was done at the time was part of a large cleanup effort that we do from year to year. And what we did not know in 2019 was that the authority had several millions of dollars in outstanding bonds that were still being paid off. And so the authority was still in operation, it just wasn't recognized to be in operation at the time. So after the repeal was passed, the courts found that the repeal of this specific authority was unconstitutional. The state did not challenge that decision of the court and did not appeal the decision. So the problem that was brought to us by the authority's counsel, and because you've got a conflict between a statute that has repealed an authority, but a judge's order saying you can't repeal the authority. This simply reconciles that. So we've had this reviewed by the council's authority. We've had it reviewed by the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Governor's office, the bill's author, and the Senate sponsor, and all have okayed it and approved it. So with that, this truly is a cleanup that we need to take care of. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, or I'll yield the will.
You have no questions, Senator.
Okay, thank you.
Senator from 31st, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the great senator from the 48th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator from 48th is excused. Would any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. And Senator, I don't guess you don't need to close debate. No, okay. Is there objection for previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. The business that we'll take up right now is on Amendment 1. Is there objection from the pro tem friendly amendment? Is there objection to Amendment 1? Without objection, Amendment 1 is added. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Secretary read HB 1100.
House Bill 1100, a bill by Representative New of the 64th and others, A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the OCGA relating to motor vehicles and traffic, so as to authorize the use of electronic notifications and communications by the Department of Revenue to motor vehicle owners relative to motor vehicle registration and certificates of title upon consent, to provide for standards and conditions to obtain such consent, to provide for the issuance of vehicle registration and license plates, for government-owned vehicles, to provide for exceptions, to revise the definition, to provide for conforming changes, to provide for the establishment of a system for the electronic storage and transfer of certificates of title, to authorize the transfer of certificates of title or granting of security interests therein electronically, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. House Bill 1100 by Representative New of the 64th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the OCGA relating to motor vehicles and traffic, so as to authorize the use of electronic notifications and communications by the Department of Revenue to motor vehicle owners relative to lapses of motor vehicle insurance coverage and certificates of title upon consent, to provide for definitions, to provide for standards and conditions to obtain such consent, to provide for the issuance of vehicle registration and license plates for government-owned vehicles, to provide for exceptions, to revise a definition, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 24th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I just want to let you be aware that the greatest First Lady of the Senate chamber is in the chamber at this moment.
Oh, yeah, Jan Jones right there, yeah. Well, we also have the good senators from the 45th. His wife is here today, too. Let's give her a round of applause. And I've got my baby sister here today, too. There is Natalie. She's really my older sister, but I always call her my baby sister. So everybody thinks she's younger anyway. So all right, I recognize the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm proud to bring you House Bill 1100 today. This is an important bill that was brought by the Department of Revenue, where we've been working together to evolve the way that we're doing business and embracing the use of technology and ultimately lowering the cost to taxpayers. In Section 1, this legislation allows the department to send electronic notices either through email or through the Georgia Tax Center, to customers who opt in, that's a key word, opt in, to receive such notices for things such as a lapse of insurance. Currently, the Department of Revenue sends over 1 million of these letters every year, costing around $1 per letter. Many customers would rather receive their communications electronically. However, if they're wishing to receive paper notices, they certainly can do so. Additionally, customers will be given notice. The electronic notifications could include suspension, cancellation, revocation of title, or registration. In Sections 2, 3, and 5 of this bill, it clarifies government license plates. Today, whether it be a city, a county, a school, or state, we issue a series of different government plates. Making sure there is consistency in the way that process works is very important. It is also important to note that law enforcement vehicles that are used for investigatory purposes would still be exempt from having a government tag, as well as any head of government can work together if one of those officials has some type of a threat against him to have a nondescript tag put into place. In Section 4 of this bill, this legislation allows trailers to be included in what's called fleet management, therefore allowing those larger companies that are doing fleets to not just do a car or a truck, but also the trailer that would go along with it. And finally, in Section 6, this legislation provides statutory authority for the department to allow the electronic transfer of titles. Again, another way of moving us forward into the electronic and internet age. E-titling is becoming more popular and ultimately will be a big benefit to consumers as well as to the efficiency of state government. That is the bill in its entirety. If there are any questions, I will be glad to answer them. Mr. President, if not, I would yield the will.
You do have one question, Senator. Recognize Senator from the 51st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Certainly, for my majority leader.
Thank you for your in-depth explanation of this important piece of legislation. In Section 6, dealing with the electronic transfer of titles, could you explain how that might work?
Yeah, that's a great question, Senator. So in many areas of the country now, rather than having your physical title, especially when you have a large amount, let's say for a company fleet or et cetera, you can have that in electronic form and then easily be able to move that. Let's say you were going to trade in your car, sell your car to another individual, or if you're a large fleet and you had all those electronic titles and you wanted then to move those to be sold and bring new fleets in, or you're going to lease cars, it really brings it more to the current age of electronically be able to submit those titles back and forth, not just always in a paper copy.
Would the senator further yield?
Certainly, Senator.
So does this only apply to the fleet transfers?
No, it would apply to all, but fleets are a good example of how they're used today. Again, fleets have a lot more to contend with than you or I might have having a couple, 2, 3 cars for our family.
Will you further yield?
Certainly.
So currently, when you get a title, it's mailed to you from the Department of Revenue. You have to autograph the back of it if you're the seller, and if you transfer it to a family member, whomever, you have to sign it. How would that work under the electronic transfer piece?
Same way we do all other electronic signatures today. It would follow the same process to make sure that there's a chain of custody of that title and we don't have anybody get in trouble.
Would that also require a notary public?
Yes, some have maybe even said that could be RON, remote online notary, but that actually doesn't apply to this bill.
So it doesn't require a notary?
It does not.
Just online. Okay, thank you.
You have no more questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask your favorable consideration for helping our Department of Revenue become more efficient and ultimately serve our customers, the citizens of Georgia, better. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Secretary read 1303. House Bill 1303.
House Bill 1303, a bill by Representative Stinson of the 150th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4286 of the OCGA relating to special license plates promoting or supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations with proceeds dispersed to the general fund and the agency, fund, or nonprofit corporation, so as to establish a specialty license plate honoring the Shepherd Center and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Public Safety offers the following substitute to House Bill 1303, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4286 of the OCGA relating to special license plates promoting or supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations with proceeds dispersed to the general fund and the agency and for other purposes. Senator Jackson of the 41st and others offer the following amendment to amend the Senate Public Safety Committee substitute to House Bill 1303 by replacing line 11 with the following. Samford University Alumni Association to establish a specialty license plate and for other purposes. Senator Gooch of the 51st and others offer the following amendment to amend the Public Safety substitute to House Bill 1303 by striking so as to establish an America First specialty license plate from lines 14 and 15, and by striking Section 2, lines 37 through 49. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 48th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you today, House Bill 1303 is our license plate bill that will be covering several different organizations, which I will talk through for you real quick. On your desk is a letter of support from the Shepherd Center. So the first license plate that this will be doing a revenue share adoption with is our great friends at the Shepherd Center. We appreciate all that they do. The second one is for the Foundation for Moral Law, and that is the adoption of the Gadsden flag, the Benjamin Franklin 1700s era yellow flag with the snake on it. The third license plate that is covered in line 32 of the bill, 31 and 32, is Explore the Okefenokee. So our friends that are here from the Georgia Rivers Network and all the great work that they do and everything that we do to love and support the Okefenokee Swamp, folks will have an opportunity to have that license plate as well for revenue sharing. The fourth is a special license plate honoring the alumni of Samford University. That's not Stanford in California, that's Samford in Birmingham, Alabama. The funds raised by the sale of that will be dispersed to the Samford University Alumni Association. In Section 2 of the bill, there is some redundant language in there about the America First bill, which, as we all remember, was a feisty debate for an amazing license plate that was brought forth by our majority leader. And when the appropriate time comes, I will be offering an amendment to remove the language referencing the America First bill. And then on your desks will be another very friendly amendment from a good friend, the senator from the 41st, and our leader from the 55th, and also dear friend from the 12th, and I'm a signer as well, where we'll be adding another license plate to that as well, and I will allow the author of that amendment to speak to the special license plate honoring the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So with that, Mr. President, I'm happy to take any questions.
Have you spoken to the amendment, Senator?
No, sir, just in general terms. I can speak to Amendment 2, but I thought I was out of order in doing so. I can speak to Senate. I can speak to Amendment 2.
If you're good, the amendments you're good with, you can speak to, and ones you might not be.
So on your desks are Amendments 1 and 2. I support both. Please read them carefully so that you understand. Amendment 1 is going to be the creation of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority plate, which the senator from the 41st will be able to speak to. Amendment number 2 is sponsored by the majority leader and myself, and that is removing all language in reference to the America First license plate with that. Those are the two amendments. Both of those are favorable and friendly, and ask your support on those as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, no questions, Senator. Does any other senator, well, actually, let me. Recognize the senator from the 41st to speak to amendment number 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask for your favorable consideration for this amendment. It simply adds the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which is a historically black sorority, has been around for a very long time, does great work. It adds them to the revenue sharing portion of this bill. They already have a tag. They just want to be able to have some of the revenues to go to support their really great work and service to our great state. I'll yield for questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Recognize the majority leader to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe the senator from the 48th has already explained amendment number 2 is simply to take out the language. We've already passed this bill 2 weeks ago, and that bill is working its way through the House. It passed committee this week, and it'll be on the floor hopefully within the next 3 to 4 days, so we do not need that language in this bill. Obviously, we need 2/3 votes in this chamber to pass this underlying bill, so I encourage you to vote for the bill as amended. Thank you.
We have a late arriving amendment. So I'm going to give the secretary's office time to get that dispersed.
Senator Moore of the 53rd offered the following Amendment 3 to amend the Senate Committee substitute to House Bill 1303 by inserting on line 29 after Constitution, quote, "in the middle of tag logo shall appear," quote. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 53rd to speak to his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple cleanup amendment. When it comes to the Gadsden flag, it's just making sure that the logo is put into the center of the tag and not off to the side, and gives the true meaning of the Gadsden flag. And I'll yield for any questions, Mr. President.
You have no questions,
Thank you.
Senator. Does any of the senators wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on Amendment 1. Amendment 1. Is there objection to Amendment 1 from the senator from the 41st? Without objection, Amendment 1 is added. Questions on Amendment 2 from the senator from the 51st. Is there objection to Amendment 2? Without objection, Amendment 2 is added. And now the question is on Amendment 3 from the senator from the 53rd. Is there objection to? You object? Would you like to speak? Do you have objection? I was going to speak to that measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator from the 53rd, I know, came with all the right reasons why he wanted to move that. However, without getting approval from the Department of Revenue and the manufacturer and how that works with our flock cameras to keep people safe, that is not an appropriate amendment at this time, but I would be glad to work with you afterwards to assure that that will fit in the guidelines we have for plates and make sure our flock cameras, which work today to keep our people safe, will work. So until we get that verified with Department of Revenue, I'm going to ask we hold on it, but I'd be happy to work with the senator in the future to see if we can make that happen. Thank you. I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 53rd to speak to the measure.
You'll notice in the, thank you, Mr. President. You'll notice in the description of the legislation, it says to a strict view of the Constitution. We are an independent entity in the legislature outside of the Department of Revenue. Other states all across the land have a Gadsden flag, and the logo is in the center of the flag, or in the tag, just like a peach, right? We have a peach in the center of the tag. It will be absolutely no different. And if this amendment was to pass, it would be the only tag in Georgia that would have that in the center. And that's the true nature of a Gadsden flag. So I would just ask that you support amendment number 3. And if there's no questions, Mr. President, I'll yield the will.
There's no questions, Senator.
Thanks.
Senator from the 48th, since we've had a little discussion around here, would you like to close the debate or would you waive?
Thank you, Mr. President. Talking with friends in public safety and throughout the Department of Revenue, they have assured me that the model that we've created does show the template shows the snake on the left side of the plate with all the numbers and everything to follow, and that this is the most in keeping to be consistent with all the other plates that we do have, and they have asked us to please vote no on Amendment 3. Thank you.
All right, so the posture that we're in is we're on Amendment 3, and there was objection from the senator from the 56 on that. Amendment 1 and 2 were adopted. So all those in favor of Amendment 3, rise, stand, and be counted. All those in favor of Amendment 3, rise, stand, and be counted. Reverse.
I had 12 on the right side.
On the motion, the yeas are 10 and the nays are 38. So that motion has failed. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Hearing none, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none, the report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. Senator from the 51st, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that the senator from the 53rd Amendment confused us because he wanted to move to the center? If he had wanted to move to the far right, we would have probably been with him on his amendment.
Senator from the 53rd, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State
President.
your inquiry.
Isn't true all those who vote green are putting the Gadsden flag to the far left, which is completely contrary to the whole idea of the Gadsden flag?
Senator from the 50th, for what purpose do you rise?
Isn't it true with this vote we said don't tread on me to the senator from the 53rd Amendment?
Senator from the 2nd, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true that I'm glad that my colleagues have finally come to the left?
All right, on the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and the nays are 9. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Secretary read H.R. 1116.
House Resolution 1113, a resolution by Representative Donahue of the 31st and others, a resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of facilities, utilities, roads, and ingresses in, on, over, under, upon, across, or through property owned by the state of Georgia in Appling, Barrow, Clark counties and other counties and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on State Institutions and Property recommends that this resolution do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbison of the 15th District Chairman. The State Institutions and Property Committee offers the following substitute to House Resolution 1113. A resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of facilities, utilities, roads, and ingresses in, on, over, under, upon, across, or through property owned by the state of Georgia in Appling, Barrow, Bartow, and other counties, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just simply the housekeeping bill for the state-owned properties, State Institution Properties Committee. All of the senators who have been affected by this legislation have been notified. It just authorized the easement will be used for construction of installation, operation, and maintenance facility, utility roads, and other things of that sort. It's just the housekeeping bill for this particular session. There are no questions, Mr. President. I'll yield the well.
I think you do have one question, Senator. Senator from the 29th.
Yeah.
Senator Yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, is this your first bill?
It happened in '93, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
All right, Senator. Not your first rodeo. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will lock machine. On the adoption of the resolution by substitute, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This resolution having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore adopted by substitute. Secretary read 1116.
House Resolution 1116, a resolution by Representative Perkle of the 169th and others, a resolution authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Chatham County, authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned property located in Houston County, authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Paulding County, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on State Institutions and Property recommends that this resolution do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbison of the 15th District Chairman. The State Institutions and Property Committee offers the following substitute to House Resolution 1116, a resolution authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Barrow County, authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned property located in Chatham County, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 15th. The Dean of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Easy bills between you and lunch. This is just simply the companion bill for this session for the State Institution and Properties housekeeping bill this year. Two bills in here that come to mind, two sections, and that is in Chatham County and in Fulton County, and I'm sure that you've been notified about that. And if there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the well.
You do have one question, Senator.
Yes.
Recognize the senator from the 20th.
How are you doing, my friend?
Fine, friend. How are you?
I'm good. Do you yield for a question?
Yes, sir.
And I know you know the answer to this, but is the state of Georgia named after Sam Houston of Texas, or is it named after Governor Houston of Georgia?
You know it's Georgia all the way live. Absolutely.
You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the resolution by substitute. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption resolution by substitute, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted by substitute. I recognize the senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 410.
The senator has moved that Senate agree to House substitute on SB 410. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 410, a bill by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3 of Chapter 50 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to licensing of veterinarians and veterinary technicians generally, so as to exempt certain sterilization services and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 410, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3 of Chapter 50 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to licensing of veterinarians and veterinary technicians generally, so as to provide for temporary licenses for out-of-state veterinarians and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator, recognize the senator from the 32nd. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This will sound familiar. This is a temporary veterinary licensure bill for out-of-state veterinarians that are coming in to do spay and neuter procedures for nonprofits. It helps our government shelters. The state, we passed it unanimously, and then the House, the State Board of Veterinary Medicine requested that the new code section be moved from the general licensing area to the veterinary code. And they felt that was a more logical place to put it, and that out-of-state vets would be more likely to go to that code section. I agree with the change, and it passed unanimously in the House and is back to us for an agree, and I urge your support. Happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Does recognize Senator from the 52nd, for what purpose you rise?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 49th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 49th is excused. Would any other senator wish to speak to the measure? The senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on Senate Bill 410. Is there objection? All those in favor of the measure will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 32nd again.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Senate Rule 7-1.10b, I give notice that on the next legislative day, I intend to move that the Senate consider House action on Senate Bill 19.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Read the caption, Secretary.
Senate Bill 19, a bill by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the OCGA relating to courts, so as to provide for collection of passport application and processing fees by clerks of superior courts and probate court judges and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you for the notice, Senator. I recognize the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Senate Rule 7-1.10b, I give notice that on the next legislative day, I intend to move the Senate consider action by the House on SB 421.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 421, a bill by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 10 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to obstruction of public administration and related offenses, so as to enhance penalties for the offense of transmitting a false public alarm and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you for the notice, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Senate Rule 7-1.10b, I give notice that on the next legislative day, I intend to move that the Senate consider House action on Senate Bill 370.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 370, a bill by Senator Hodges of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16547 of the OCGA relating to posting model notice with human trafficking hotline and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you for the notice, Senator. Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Legislative Day 34 has come to an end. Therefore, I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, March 14th.
The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday morning. Secretary, read the announcements.
The Rules Committee will meet upon adjournment in 4:50. The Public Safety Committee will meet at 1 p.m. in 4:50. The Insurance and Labor Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in 1:25. The Higher Education Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB. The Health and Human Services Committee will meet at 3 p.m. in 450. The Finance Committee will meet at 4 p.m. in MES 1. The Education and Youth Subcommittee will meet at 4 p.m. in 310 of the CLOB. And the Transportation Committee will meet at 5 p.m. in 450. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 19th for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Subcommittee chairs, reminder, I need to meet with you in 30 minutes after adjournment. Thank you so much.
Any other senator wish to give an announcement? The majority leader has moved. Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, March 14th. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned. Go to your committee meetings.